Later on the show, food crisis looms in Southeast as transporters threaten to withdraw services over attacks by touts. I'll be hanging out with Gani Kaide Balogun and Sam Ibimere. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us. Let's begin on a cautionary note. Just when you think that the storm of COVID-19 pandemic is over, the virus appears to be lurking in the corner. Lagos State, which is the epicenter of the pandemic in Nigeria, now has the highest number of confirmed cases in the country. According to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, Lagos has 100,376,000 confirmed cases as at the 1st of July. Now, the NCDC also said the latest confirmed cases of 347 have increased the country's infection toll to 257,290, while the number of deaths still stands at 3,144. Sam, I thought we were done with COVID-19. We're done with that.
Not quite. Anyone who has kept in touch with developments within the health sector and who has been monitoring, developments globally, realize that the pandemic is still rife. Even in the Americas, there's a huge surge, and some countries, have had to, effect lockdown and all that, or even the work from home stuff. So it's been out there. It's just that in this part of the world, sometimes we just take things, for granted. Just as you said, Lagos is epicenter. On the average, Lagos records about 50 cases every day. The last time I also checked, the country is reporting about 82 on the average daily. So you could say that figure is not too high, but then it just tells you that we are not totally done with the incidence of COVID-19. And now we also must appreciate the fact that we've not done quite well with vaccinations. The last time I checked, we had just about 50 million doses, applied in this country. And if you take the average, that's about 10% of the population. Because if you have had 2 doses of it means just about 25 million people have been vaccinated. That leaves us with just about 12.6% of the population. So it just shows that many Nigerians are still exposed to that, to the scourge, and we've got to be very careful. We appear to have given up on the basic hygiene conditions of washing, keeping distance and all that, using our nose mask and all that. So it's sad we have this report out there. But again, it sounds a note of warning to Nigerians that we are not completely out of the woods. People have to be very careful, and take necessary precautions to ensure that we don't have the kind of surge we had in 2020. So we've got to live with it, and we've got to be very careful in managing our hygiene conditions.
GKB, what's the advantage of, some of us, we taking the first, second, and booster jab.
Yeah.
So what should I be careful of?
Well, I think there's what they call the vulnerable age. People with high blood pressure, anything to do with the lungs. We will continue to observe all the primary precautions. And I think not only Nigeria, the world, the human race have decided that, like the flu or malaria, they are going to live with these particularly for some time. They have decided not to let it control their lives. It's not peculiar to Nigeria. All over the world, they expect the thing will ebb to flow. But what they try to do is that at least the level of immunity within the communities are growing and really not as scary as it was 2-3 years ago.
But this thing dealt a very big blow, as in halted our lifestyle, adjusted our lifestyle. 2 years ago was something that came like a very strange phenomenon, and it reminds us of what happened in 1918
Yeah.
and a lot of people were staying at death. You know, we and
a lot of
we
things.
forgot we lost a lot of our loved ones.
True. And it's just like yesterday when, you know, the news broke, you know, all over the world. So it set human race back, millions of lives lost. I can't put it in exact figures to it now, but millions of lives lost, and people are still dying. The world economy almost came to a halt. There were supply chain disruptions all over the world, and the world is yet to recover from it. You know, people lost their jobs. We had to adjust to the new normal of working from home, and that changed a lot of things. You know, so we just hope we don't get back to that, you know, level of 2020. Even though there have been...
because it was strange at that time.
Yeah.
So I think now we are learning to adjust to live with it.
We still have warnings about something of this nature happening again. You know, I read stuff about what's the Microsoft man's name again? Gates. You know, talking about something of similar magnitude happening again in the future. So we've got to be very careful. Sadly for us,
but you know that we've always had issues with viruses. We've been here for over 1 billion years. They're also here. So we have been winning so far. But what can we say? I think we need to tell our people that the laws that guide the elements persist. Doesn't matter whether it's virus or not. Once you use your hand, wash it.
Yeah.
It saves so many things, including pepper in your eye. It's not only because of COVID. Once that becomes a practice, the thing will have no way to grow beyond what we have now.
A lot of this non-pharmaceutical interventions.
Yes.
Keeping to it strictly.
We just have to. So this basically serves as a reminder to everyone
we are not
out of the wood. People have to continue to take responsibility, you know, for managing their hygiene conditions.
For those who have
what's the update on traveling? Have you had any cause to leave the country?
Most countries have lifted restrictions.
Yes. Even for Nigeria, sometime in April, the government lifted the ban on inbound passengers. You know, if you're coming from any of these countries that has had COVID-19 impact and all that, those of them who have lifted the ban, you can come in and all that. If you travel, it's not every country that you have to now take the PCR test before you. So there has been some kind of adjustment and all that, but countries,
our normal 50K that we were collecting and barcode.
Those businesses they've moved on now. So, but nobody's taking a chance, and Nigeria should not take any chances. Yes, Britain, most parts of Europe and the Americas, you know, are opening up their economies. But again, they're also
entering the country from outside. If you are in the US or if you're in Europe, anywhere in Europe, and you want to enter Nigeria, it was a very big problem that time.
Yes, then I brought
you that form.
In fact, sometimes you will not even go because you are there for 7 days.
True.
Yes.
You can't even step out.
Isolate for 14 days.
You can't even step out.
So you're spending 28 days just to have a 1 week holiday.
But that's actually easing because for those who have traveled lately, you know, you come in. If you have had the double vaccination, you really don't have to.
You show them that card.
Yeah, that's all you need. Except you've not had the full dose. Once you have had the full dose, you can just come in and then you have your documents checked and then you're in. So, and if you're traveling to any of the countries where they've also lifted or eased the restrictions, you don't have to undergo the PCR test before you're admitted into such countries.
All right, moving on now. The presidential candidates of the Labour Party in the 2023 elections, Peter Obi, his crowd of supporters is becoming some sort of double-edged swords that can be blessed, that can be a blessing or, a burden for him. Their vocal approach to the election may hurt Obi, but former governor of Anambra State has cautioned his supporters and loyalists against being toxic, urging them to be tolerant, tolerate other people's point of view ahead of that election. Let me start from you, Sam. I find it difficult to, to even follow anything online or contribute to any meaningful discussion online, because what will be before you next? If you ask any probing question, you will hear it. What's happening, Sam? Just some details.
Well, what is happening now is that the social media is agog. What is happening again is that we have some kind of paradigm shift, within our political space, where something that hadn't happened before is happening, where an individual, without commissioning anyone, is enjoying a bliss, that you can't put a handle to it. So organic. People just wake up, get to social media, and then tell the rest of us that this is the candidate they want. And if you come up with a counter argument, they take it to the cleaners, as it were. So yeah, I spend most of my time on social media because of the nature of my work and all that. But what you get to see in terms of the conversations and interactions between and among followers of the different presidential candidates is something amazing, something never seen, within our climes. And that is why, Mr. Peter Obi, has had to, caution his followers. Not just him, even, across the entire divide, you find, the language that is deployed is by their followers are not something you want to encourage. Sometimes the creatives, the artworks that you see on display, some of the jingles, some of the commercials that you see that were not commissioned by Mr. Peter Obi, says quite a lot in terms of what his followers, are thinking of him. One can only caution, because sometimes in trying to market, your person, your own candidate, you could just overdo it, and then you lose the support, that will have come in an organic manner. So what is happening out there is a case study, if you ask me. Those of us who have been watching the political space, where a candidate is enjoying so much organic, support, that you wonder if he shouldn't just be handed over, as it were, the portfolio, But you and I know that votes are not cast, within the social media space. So his followers will need to understand that beyond the campaign for citizens to pick up their PVCs, the ultimate thing they will have to do is to, on the day of election, ensure that they turn out and vote, and ensure that their votes count. So the quarrel on within the social media space has to be tempered. That's not where the elections are. I mean, the elections are going to hold, in my view.
In other countries, it's like a celebration of ideas, celebration of democracy, puts other candidates to task. You look at what you want to do in the health sector, what you want to do in the education sector, how we intend to solve the insecurity, and that will become a subject of debate across the country. This is going down religious and ethnic divides, and the level of animosity and acrimony when you read, monitor, do a kind of content analysis of what is happening online right now. And it's just 18 months to the election.
Yeah, but I don't know why we have such memories when it comes to this. There's something I call the messianic complex. People just look for something to serve as the father figure, what they believe in. What is happening now at a different decibel, I agree. It's not different from what happened in 2015. Everybody was coming in. It's not different from what happened to Mogalu. People will pick a candidate who represents to them, either ethnic or religious, the ideal representation of what the president should be. Either by ignoring other variables. Because the Bible will say, what I like, you may not like.
True.
Well, the danger we have right now, the fact that they keep forgetting that this is a democracy. It's a game of numbers. It's not a game of how high your decibel, how high you can make noise. And that to me is the danger in all this. Because you are not only creating what people now call digging in. People who thought a few weeks ago that, yeah, this guy may be different and will now have to dig in either for ethnic or religious purposes, just to see what those people will do when it comes to the election. And by demarketing your other people, you're actually demarketing your candidate who does not have a chance in got something before. Now you make it even slimmer. I think what we need to do, there must be some sort of, not only Mr. Obi, even those who have walls on Twitter. If somebody comes to your wall to abuse people, cut them off. Don't pretend that, okay, I've put up a post, whatever happens is not, no, it's your problem. Because on your page, you created the environment for this terrible discourse.
Yeah, for engagement.
You are responsible. A lot of people will post it, on both sides, by the way. It's not peculiar to one side or the other. And then they will sit back and expect the offer to start. And they enjoy themselves. But you are responsible because you are creating a schism. I mean, no, but because the one in 2015 is not even closed yet. That schism that was caused by the Jonathan ouster is still with us. This is just an expansion.
Divided us.
Not in terms of space. So the same people, maybe younger, but the same people who thought they were disenfranchised or that Jonathan's loss was a conspiracy, they are the same people doing this. I've not seen anybody outside that particular circle. Because like, you know, we work on social media. That's where we work. You go out and see, okay, I'll look at a name and then go to his page to look what he said last year or 2 years. It's been the same line. I've not seen a man who said, okay, I'm supporting Mr. A, I'm not supporting B, and start abusing people. You don't see them. It's the same people who are stuck in a position who have decided to continue that position. So now that they are doing is either my way or the highway, next year can't come soon enough.
Now, when you look at the narrative out there and the number of candidates we have right now, seem to be, you know, you used to have the famous two-horse race. Yeah. Now, it's now something of PDP, APC, and the Labour Party now. Yeah. Even the NNPP, the New Nigerian Party, is even making the wave and everything, talking about merger or no merger. And you want to see what is required to be the president of Nigeria, as in what you need to reach out and everything. So it's as if everything will not start and stop on the social media. And what does that thing on the campaign, the present campaign, how does it translate to real-time votes?
Yeah, you have a point here because some of us are pretty very concerned because conversations you witness or you get to experience on social media sometimes are lacking in depth, you know, in terms of substance. People are not interrogating sufficiently, you know, the capacity, the competence, you know, even the character, you know, of those who have put themselves forward, you know, as presidential candidates. And I think that is what is very important. So every opportunity that we have, we've got to continue to sound that, you know, to the ears of the average Nigerian, that it's about what these candidates are going to bring to the table. We should be asking questions. We should go beyond the sentiments of this person is my own person. Yeah, you know, rhetoric, you know, works. Some people just want to hear you because you're gifted, you know, in the art of the gift of the gab and all that. You are eloquent and you can say stuff and people clap for you. But it goes beyond that. Nigerians should be asking very pertinent questions. We should be able to interrogate these candidates in terms of, you know, their background, in terms of what they've been able to do over time, in terms of the promises they make, and what is realizable.
I think I have my first caller. Ibrahim is calling us from Lokoja. Thank you for joining us, Ibrahim. Hello, Ibrahim.
Hello.
Ibrahim.
Hello, I'm ready.
Just turn down the volume of your monitor.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Let me commend the...
Ibrahim, are you there?
I'm there.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I want to commend the panelists and the anchorman there. We are meeting my brother, to tell you. But this particular... I'm there. I said I'm commending the panelists.
Go on.
Go on, Ibrahim. Hello? Okay.
We lost him.
Okay. So, in summary, what we have in here, we now have a longer period to campaign before 3 months after the emergence of the candidates.
July 15th is the deadline for submission.
Do you understand? After the emergence of the candidates, just 3 months for campaign, and we go the election. Right now, the revised timetable, what you have now, it's still like 8 months.
It would even appear that those who are pushing these candidates are even jumping the gun, because it would seem that the campaigns have already taken off. Because some of the things, some of the content you see, within the social media space, it's
not regulated.
Yeah, not regulated.
No,
and
but
then,
you have to understand that this is a fallout of the primaries. People are reacting to the primaries. Things that happened during the primaries. And a lot of variables are coming in that are pushing this narrative in the direction that you want. The real campaign will not start until September. You will not see anybody, any serious politician, I'm talking, who is already, no campaign council yet. Then for Oshun, that one is next week.
The election next week.
So that's what everybody is concentrating on. The real campaign starts when it starts. But for now, this is all Yorubas will call Iriayo, children playing on the streets, just enjoying themselves. The level of bile is what I'm against. I'm nothing against exchange of ideas, but be civil about it.
Yeah, but this is the downside of social media, where you can hardly regulate much. So yeah, I will agree with you that people are basically responding to outcomes or fallouts of the primaries and all that. But what you find is that these people are going beyond, what ought to dominate the conversation to campaigns proper, which by the rules, by the regulations, shouldn't be.
Okay, let's quickly take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this amount.
Good afternoon, Oga. Now you be the landlord.
Yes, Nami.
Oga landlord, me go need one room for this your house, so.
Okay, sure you get work where you dey do.
Yes, I be nurse.
You don't go dey owe me be that now.
Now how much be your rent, Sef?
Not just 90,000 naira. Wait, this guy, where you come from, Sef?
Oga, I come from Akamata.
Akamata? No talk am again. My spirit and Akamata people no dey ever join.
Oga, wetin happen now?
Come over for my compound. Na so baba thing na people sabi do for that Akamata. Come over here.
Haba, Papa, wetin this innocent girl do you now? Now people like you, they spoil Nigeria, Papa.
I think you don't see am now. My people they talk say jollof rice wey dey for bottom pot today go dey top of cooler tomorrow. As I take need you now, so you self need me. Because now one mama we get we dey Nigeria. Make we love ourselves, because now only together we go fit make our country better for us and our children them. One heart plus one love equals better Nigeria. Now the Center for Democracy and Development CDD with support from the UK government, they bring in this message.
Thank you for joining us. This is Journalist Hangout. Mending fences with political foes and forming new alliances are ultimate requirements for winning elections. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has begun moves to douse tension generated by the choice of Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State as running mate for the party's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar. The chairman of the PDP Board of Trustees, Senator Walid Jibrin, said the party has set up 9-member committee to beg Governor Nyesom Wike. Sam, Nyesom Wike participated in the primaries. At the point in time, we thought he was going to, emerge before the Tambuwal master stroke. Yeah. And yes, Atiku Abubakar became the candidate. Again, it was said that the PDP elders set up a 17-man committee to nominate who to be the vice president, and it was shortlisted. It was between Nyesom Wike and Patrick Okowa. And we're told that they went into ballots, 14 for Nyesom Wike and 3 for Patrick Okowa. Yeah. And the former vice president, in his own wisdom and with his prerogative, vetoed the whole process. Yeah. And Patrick Okowa, we chose Patrick Okowa as his running mate. Since that time, Nyesom Wike has been mute. But we've been getting feelers here and there that look.
His body language is so loud. He's not talking, but the body language is so loud. Some of us are not totally surprised, at developments. Anyone who has followed PDP in very recent times would appreciate the fact that Wike, had been the backbone of the party in terms of, trying to firm the structure. And of course, you and I know that what that means is that somebody was committing resources, and in this case, money, to ensure that the house appears fairly, stable. So for Wike and his team, it's more like we've committed so much into helping build this party while some people were away, and then it's payback time. But politics doesn't work out that way. There are rules. The party has its structure. For anyone who followed the primaries, it would appear that it was transparent enough before Samuel did what he did and all that. So but we hear that the source of grievance basically is that the man is not, he and his people are not very happy the way he was treated. And he wants to be pampered. He wants to be appreciated, in a way. We are no party members, but I can tell you, from the outside that this is just basically about positioning. The man wants to be recognized as a major factor within the PDP family, and he wants to be accorded that respect. How the entire thing will pan out is what we can only hazard guesses as to which way it will go. Some of his followers are angling that Okowa should be dropped and Wike replaced. And you wonder how practical that would be. Even Wike himself at some point said he would never go for the vice presidential ticket. So I wonder how that would have played. But politicians speak from both sides of the mouth. Here you have a man who said he will never go for that running mate position, and you now have his followers saying he ought to have been given that ticket. What would have happened at the end of the day if he would have had to swallow his vomit, as it were. But I think this is just basically politics playing out. We hear that 13 governors are going to be part of the reconciliation visit and all that. We'll see how that plays out.
Can Nyesom Wike actually rock the boat?
Yes.
Within the PDP?
Yes. Nyesom Wike is a man that is very rare. It's his mind. That is a very rare attribute when it comes to politics in our country. Don't forget that he said he was not going to run for vice president. He was revealed upon fellow governors who are trying to avoid where we are today, where they are today in PDP. Just to tell them, look, this man has been the major financier of our party since 2015. He carried the party on his shoulders. He was the low man standing for so long that we were thinking that we are going to sink non-limites for the death of PDP. He was the last man standing. So now he lost out, fine. People thought, you remember what happened in 2015, Sam?
Yes.
When Buhari emerged at Slim Balogun. The first thing he said was that the VP is given to the people of the Southwest to do with it what they make.
Yeah.
He's not going to come into it. He has gotten his own tickets. That is all. That's what really happened there. Because people voted. And they told him that we voted for you, there are 14 of us. Of course, the prerogative of the candidate to pick whatever he wants to work with. We don't know the real reason why he decided not to pick Wike. Well, like I said, Wike is not, I know him personally, so I know he will say his mind anyway. For Wike to be quiet for this long amount of time means he's been talking by not using the microphone. And that to me is luckily for our democracy and luckily for PDP, we have 7 months. These will be the old days when the window is just 2 months, something.
It's very short.
I'll have told if the election were to hold tomorrow, I will answer a question by saying Wike can not only rock the boat, the boat will capsize. But we have 7 months to mend fences, for them to do whatever they want, and then come to an understanding. And if they don't get an understanding, there are so many variables.
Yeah, let me try and put you in the shoes of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar.
Right.
A lot of people will say, look, you need somebody in the guise of Professor Yemi Osinbajo to be your vice president, or somebody like former President Goodluck Jonathan, or somebody like Namadi Sambo to be your vice president. That you don't want to have Nyesom Wike as your vice president. Where it's as if, in terms of submission, in terms of loyalty, in terms of, so that you can go to bed with your two eyes closed. I don't know, maybe you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a natural feeling, the president of this country is rated only one of the most powerful men in the world. And you don't want someone who would come, and water down the powers, you would enjoy on the beat. So I think it's a natural feeling to want to have someone you can, order around, in quotes. And Wike, you and I know, don't fit that bill. He's bold, he speaks to you the way he wants to, and anyone who has observed him over time will tell you that it's not some kind of meat you would chew anyhow. You've got to be pretty very careful. And remember, yeah, remember.
Let me quickly take Olushola Julius from Ibadan, your state.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you for joining us, Shola.
Oga Kani, good evening, sir. Mr. Epimere, good evening, sir. I want to believe something from my spirit, that Atiku has made a choice that he believes that is profitable to him. Now, Wike, let us check it very vividly. Wike is a very strict stand in PDP now. But I will appreciate it if all of them will come together as a family and unite together. To me, I don't think Atiku can pick Wike. Why? Because Wike is another person that is desperate to be president. And just the way, I think Mr. Kani just said it now, Wike is somebody that speaks his mind anytime. And you can see the way he talks. He pick up anybody anytime. And he talk, recklessly sometimes. So if he happens to be the vice presidential candidate to a person like Atiku, with the kind of person Atiku is, there is fire on the mountain, But if at all they are able to manage themselves and reconcile genuinely with him, then the party is ready for 2023. But if they allow this issue to fester, there is trouble. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This first came to my mind. Even the deputy governor of Lagos State, Obafemi Hamzat, if you remember, he contested. He wanted to be the governor. But today, he's the deputy governor. Very, very humble man. When you meet him, he will disarm you.
But very humble man. Politics is not played that way. Here we're dealing with a man who is very assertive.
Team player.
Very assertive. So what is playing out in PDP, it's difficult to put a handle to it, because if you observe Wike's followers very closely, you heard them talk about speaking to a certain president. Now, if we are to judge by what we hear these people talk about, you wonder if the man himself is not preparing to, back somebody from the south against the wishes of his party. And that is why this proposed meeting, that will involve 13 other governors, will
some of them are already backing out.
Yeah. So there is a lot of fireworks. I expect a lot of fireworks, ahead of.
To be in the shoes of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and you have to choose between Okowa and Wike. And how do you go about this?
That would be an easy answer if the Southern presidency thing